There once was a boy named Leo. He did not know his mother. He did not know his father. He lived in the city, but he did not really have a home. His home was the alley behind the bakery, where the air smelled sweet and warm in the morning. Leo was small for his age, with eyes the color of a cloudy sky and hair that was a tangle of brown knots. He owned only one shirt and one pair of trousers, both of which were patched and worn thin. He felt like a ghost, a tiny whisper that no one ever heard. He watched families walk by, holding hands and laughing. Their laughter was a sound from a world he did not belong to. His world was made of shadows and silence. Most days, Leo felt a deep ache in his chest. It was a hollow feeling, like an empty pocket where something important should be. He believed he was invisible. People rushed past him on the busy streets, their faces set on their own destinations, their own worries, their own lives. They did not see the small boy huddled by the brick wall. He learned to make himself smaller, to fold into the corners of the world so he would not be a bother. He learned that being alone was a heavy coat to wear, one that was too big and too cold, even on the warmest of summer afternoons. He wondered if anyone, anywhere, was missing a boy just like him. He had conversations with the alley cats. They were his only friends. They did not care that his clothes were ragged or that his face was smudged with dirt. They would purr when he stroked their backs, and he would tell them his secrets. He told them about his dream of a warm bed. He told them about his wish for a bowl of soup that was all his own, not just leftovers. The cats would listen, their green and yellow eyes blinking slowly, and for a little while, Leo would feel a little less alone. He imagined they understood the language of loneliness, for they too were creatures of the alleyways and the night. The boy's heart was a small, locked box. Inside, he kept his hopes tucked away so they would not get broken. He hoped for a gentle hand. He hoped for a soft voice that would say his name. He hoped for a place where he could finally take off the heavy coat of being alone and feel the warmth on his skin. But hope was a dangerous thing. It was a tiny flame that could be blown out by the slightest wind. So, he kept it hidden deep inside, guarding it carefully. He watched the world through a window of longing, a silent observer waiting for a door to open, even just a crack. Growing up was a series of difficult lessons. The world, Leo learned, was full of doors that were closed and locked tight. He tried knocking once, on the door of the city orphanage. A stern-faced woman told him they were full, that there was no room for another hungry mouth. He saw other children inside, playing in a small yard, and the sight was like a sharp stone in his shoe. He learned that hunger was a constant companion, a gnawing emptiness in his belly that made it hard to think. He learned to find food where he could, a bruised apple fallen from a cart, a crust of bread tossed out for the birds. It was a hard, lonely education. The city was a great, big, noisy place, but for Leo, it was a landscape of challenges. Winter was the hardest time. The cold would seep into his bones, a deep and relentless chill that no amount of shivering could shake. He would huddle in doorways, trying to steal a little warmth from the shops, but he was always shooed away. "Go on, get out of here," people would say, their words as sharp and cold as icicles. He learned that being small and alone made you an easy target for unkindness. The world felt like a giant, and he was just a tiny, forgotten mouse trying to survive its heavy footsteps. Loneliness was a bigger monster than hunger or cold. It was a quiet ache that followed him everywhere. He watched other children going to school, their bags full of books and their heads full of lessons. He longed to learn how to read, to unlock the secrets held within the pages of a book. He would sometimes stand outside the library, peering through the tall glass windows at the rows and rows of stories he could not access. He imagined each book was a different life, a different world, and he wished he could step into one of them and leave his own lonely reality behind for just a little while. This longing for knowledge was a different kind of hunger. He learned to be clever and quick. He had to be. He knew the schedules of the delivery trucks which baker left day-old bread on the back step, and which fruit seller had a kind eye and might accidentally drop a piece of fruit. These small victories were his triumphs. They were proof that he was still there, that he could outsmart the hardness of the world for one more day. But this constant struggle was exhausting. It wore him down, body and soul. Every night, as he curled up in his alley, he would look up at the moon and wonder if it was the same moon that shone on a family that might one day look for him. One crisp autumn morning, a new face appeared in the alley. It belonged to an old woman named Alara. She was the baker's wife, with hands covered in flour and a smile as warm as a fresh loaf of bread. She did not shoo him away. Instead, she knelt and offered him a small warm roll. "You look hungry, little one," she said, her voice gentle and kind. Leo was so surprised that he could only stare. No one had ever spoken to him so softly. He took the roll, his small, trembling fingers brushing against hers. That simple act of kindness was like a key turning the lock on his heart. Alara began leaving a roll for him every morning. Sometimes she would also leave a small cup of milk. She never asked him many questions. She simply gave. One day, she found him trying to read a scrap of newspaper he had found. "Would you like to learn?" she asked. Leo nodded, his eyes wide with a hope he had almost forgotten. So every afternoon, after the bakery was closed, Alara would sit with Leo on the back step. She taught him his letters, A, B, C. Each letter was a magical key. Each word he learned to read was a new window opening in his small, dark world. Through Alara, Leo met her husband, the baker, a large man named Silas. At first, Silas was quiet and gruff. He watched Leo with wary eyes. But he saw the way his wife's face lit up when she was teaching the boy. He saw the fierce determination in Leo's eyes as he sounded out words. One day it started to rain, a cold and miserable downpour. Silas came to the back door and grumbled, "You can't learn in the rain. Come inside." He led Leo into the warm, fragrant kitchen of the bakery. It was the first time Leo had been inside a real home as long as he could remember. In that warm kitchen, Leo learned more than just reading. He learned what it felt like to be safe. He learned the rhythm of a kind and steady life. Silas, despite his rough exterior, had a patient heart. He started showing Leo how to knead dough, how to feel when it was just right. "You have to listen to the bread," Silas would say. "It tells you what it needs." Leo learned that, like dough, a person needed warmth and care to rise. Alara and Silas did not ask him to be anyone but himself. They gave him food, they gave him knowledge, and most importantly, they gave him their time. Slowly, carefully, Leo began to change. The hollow feeling in his chest started to fill up with something new. It felt warm, like the heat from the baker's oven. He started to smile more, a small, shy smile at first, but then a real, genuine one that reached his cloudy sky eyes and made them bright. He was no longer a ghost in the alley. He was Leo. He was the boy who helped Silas sweep the flour from the floor. He was the boy who read stories aloud to Alara while she mended socks by the fire. He was becoming a part of their world, and they were becoming his. The day he called them Mama Alara and Papa Silas for the first time, the words came out in a whisper. He was afraid he had said the wrong thing. But Alara's eyes filled with happy tears, and Silas pulled him into a big, clumsy hug that smelled of cinnamon and yeast. In that moment, Leo knew he was home. He had found his family. It wasn't the family he had lost, but one he had found. It was a family made not of blood, but of kindness, patience, and warm bread. The heavy coat of loneliness fell from his shoulders for good, and he felt light and free. Leo learned that a hero isn't always someone who slays dragons or wears a shiny suit of armor. Sometimes a hero is just a boy who survives the cold. Sometimes a hero is an old woman who shares her bread or a gruff man who opens his door. He learned that the greatest strength is not in being alone, but in learning to trust another person. He learned that hope was not a dangerous flame after all, but a steady light that could guide you out of the darkest alley. He had started as a small shadow, but now he felt like he could stand in the sun. And so, the boy who once spoke only to cats now filled a small home with his laughter. The boy who once dreamed of a single bowl of soup now sat down to dinner every night between two people who loved him. He was no longer an orphan waiting for a family to find him. He was a son. His journey had been long and hard, full of closed doors and cold nights. But it had led him here, to this warm kitchen, to this new life. Leo had found his place in the world, not in the shadows, but in the warm, golden light of a loving home.